What is up, guys? Cathalax here, and I am bringing you today a Pokemon TCGO battle. For those of you that don't know what Pokemon TCGO is, it is a rendition of the card game online made by Pokemon. So yeah, the card game has been around for ages, and so they decided to make a video game of it, and it's one of the better card video games out there, better than Yu-Gi-Oh! Online, because you've got to do all the actions yourself in that one, better than Magic Online, but that's because Magic Online is quite an old program. So yeah, I'm using Ross's deck, which is a Zekrom, vileplume, reuniclus, Suikin Legion deck. And my opponent, I think, because I'm not exactly certain about the basic deck, is using a Toxic Tricks deck. It might be slightly modified because I'm not sure if Toxic Tricks comes with special dark energies, but it might. It's not really a fair matchup to him, but I'm just going to use this one to display my deck because I just get set up. I've been looking for a decent battle, but I had 3 today. One was Grass Store, lasted half an hour, and I got screwed out of the win by a bug where it wouldn't let me use my Suikin Ninja as my starter, and the other one was against a Sazandori and Mega deck, and that was a good battle. I lost 1-0, but it was so laggy at the end that it just wasn't worth posting. So yeah, so the way this deck works is hopefully by turn 3 you have Vileplume, a Reuniclus, a Zekrom, and a Donphan setup. Zekrom only gets to use Outrage, which costs 2 energy, but you just use double colorless for that. You don't use its 120 damage attack because that just uses too much lightning energy, and you don't run any lightning energy in the deck. So I draw a Solosis here. I'm going to play that down and play a Collector. I kind of wanted a Cleffa because my hand isn't great, but obviously it's prized, so I don't take it. I take a Fanfi, another Solosis, and a Oddish. I don't take 2 Oddishes here because I'm planning on trading this hand away with my Copycat next turn, and Solosis is the weakest thing in my deck, so I don't want it to get bench sniped by Purloin, which has a bench sniping ability in case I don't get a Duosion or a Reuniclus next turn. So I'm just going to I think I ended my turn already. He's got a Sigilyph out there, so there's no real point putting that fighting energy on Zekrom because he's just going to continuously block 40 damage. I can only do 20 at the moment, 40 with factoring in weakness. He plays an Engineer's Adjustments to get 4 cards. That is what tricks me, because I know that Toxic Tricks is Psychic and Dark, and I know that it has Purloin, and he P-coms away a Scolipede at some point, which I also know is in Toxic Tricks. And then he plays Engineer's Adjustments, which is generally in the starter decks because it is a relatively bad card unless you're running Reshiplosion, in which case it's not a bad card to draw power, but there are still better alternatives like having a Ninetales out, that kind of thing. So I'm going to play my Gloom and Copycat to try and get, I think, 7 new cards is what he's got. I don't pull anything amazing. I pull Chansey and Blissey Prime, which is not really an early game card, and a Seeker, which I don't want to waste because you use that to pick your Blissey back up once you've removed all the damage. So I just play my double colorless onto my Zekrom and attack his Sigilyph, doing 0 damage because he is playing Reflect and just absorbs the 40. So I do have a Reuniclus in my hand, meaning if I do top deck a rare candy, then I can get a Reuniclus up, or a top deck of Vileplume, because I've got the Gloom set up, I can just play that into a Vileplume and get Trainer Lock going. So that's convenient. He's setting up a Scrafty on his bench, or a Scraggy at the moment, but it will be a Scrafty. There's the P-com away of the Scolipede. I assume he gets Scrafty here because he does play it next turn. He could also get he already has Purloin, sorry. Purloin is actually quite a good card, surprisingly, because most people already know all the good cards in the online game. But Purloin has a bench snipe for 30 for 1, which is quite good, and it has a attack that does 50 plus 30 if you have any damage counters on you, and most things will have damage counters on them at some point, so you can do 80 damage. You also play Special Dark Energy, which increases all your damaging attacks by 10, which is really quite good. That's why Tyranitar Prime is an excellent Pokemon, and why Dark can work in general. His Scrafty paralyzes and burns my Zekrom and does 20 damage. I was kind of annoyed that I didn't take burn damage and that I was paralyzed, because if I taken burn damage I could have done 60 damage to him this turn. No big deal though, I do top deck a vileplume and just play that. So he's now trainer locked, and that kind of really hurts the newbie decks, because they do play a lot of trainers. Most decks play PCOMs, catches, switches, rare candies. So having train lock is really like the best thing about this deck. So I'm just going to outrage here for 60 damage. I pull half my Suicune Legion. It's completely useless to me because my bench is full, nothing is in threat of dying, and I don't have the other piece. I also have no energy and no supporters. Having no supporters kind of sucks, and that's kind of why you want Cleffa at all times, because if you have Cleffa, you can always just, if you have a really bad hand, you can discard off the Zekrom, go into Cleffa and just shuffle your hand back in, which is why you kind of, that's why everyone generally runs Cleffa. You usually run 2, this deck runs 1. It's supposed to run Pichu's as well, but Pichu really kind of screws the Poocho as well as far as the deck's concerned, because you give them basics, and lots of people are running just basic decks right now, like Reshiram and ZPST, which can basically ZPST, which is stands for Zekrom, Pachirisu, Shaman, and Tornadus, is basically the only deck. If you don't get first turn and you only have one Pokemon up, you've basically lost, because as soon as he pulls basically anything, he can Shaman, Pachirisu, and then Zekrom and Tornadus and kill your Pokemon in the first turn, which is crazy. I just Sages here because it's the only supporter I got, and I needed something useful. I think I discard a Twins and maybe a Solosis, something useless. I get my third Fighting Energy plus a Rainbow, which is useful for my Vanphy, because now my Donphan's fully set up once I get it. That's kind of what I was looking for with Sages, but I don't get it, unfortunately. My Zekrom hasn't been paralyzed since, which is good for me, because then I get to kill a Scrafty off, but he can revenge kill me with this Purloin pretty easily. I take burn damage. It's not very important because I'm going to die to this Purloin, because he's going to do 80 damage. I think 90 because he's got a special darkness attached to him. He plays a Swoobat. Swoobat's are really not a good card in this format. Another indicator to me thinking he's playing quite a new deck. And yeah, basically, as long as I can pull a Donphan, I have this game in the bag, because nothing he has resists fighting. Donphan has 3 energies on it, so he can use its most powerful attack. I have a reuniclus in my hand, and half his Pokemon are weak to fighting. So that's quite good. I just sent my Fanphy out now. What I'm going to do this turn, because I don't get a Donphan, is Sage's training, looking for my Donphan. I'm like, come on Donphan, where are you? And because I'm in the lead, I don't need my Twins. Twins is an integral part of this deck, but because I'm leading right now, I can't play it. So I just discard both my Twins and the Judge. Judge would have been kind of useful because my hand is crap and I needed to shuffle it, but I just wasn't worth discarding either of those energies, which are both very useful since you only need to run 4 in your deck. I damage swap the 10 damage off Fanphy here because I don't want to take 80 from his Claw Rend, I think, or 90 even from his Claw Rend, because of that energy being attached, that damage being attached. If he'd had a special darkness here, like in his hand, and played it, then I definitely would have lost, because I have nothing. All I have is a Fanphy in my hand. I would have had to send out my Solosis or something, and he would have killed it, and I'd have to set up a whole new Pokemon, and I'd have been really in trouble. Fortunately for me, he didn't, so all he can do is 60 damage this turn, and my Fanphy will live. Even if it does live, if I don't draw a Donphan, I'm still in trouble. Not too bad, because I can keep removing all the damage counters off my Fanphy, but all I'm thinking of at this point, I don't have a supporter, I don't have a Donphan in my hand, so I need a supporter or a Donphan. I'm kind of hoping my Donphan isn't prized. I should have checked my deck when I played the Collector, but I didn't because I'm a bit of a noob. And so yeah, he does 60 damage, and fortunately I draw a Professor Oak here, so I can draw 6 new cards. I don't need to play any of these cards currently because I only have 60 damage in my Donphan, so Blissey Prime will be a waste. And I don't need to play any energy, and I do draw a Donphan, which is fantastic. That's exactly the card I needed. And I draw Blissey Prime as well, which is always a great card to have in your hand if you're playing this deck. So now I'm just going to remove all the counters off Donphan, just so it doesn't die, because you can never be too safe when you have a prize lead, where you're going to have a prize lead, and you've only got 1 attacker. So this takes a while in the format. I think they need to add an extra feature to take all energy off a Pokemon, or take a specific amount. But this is a relatively new game, and I'm sure coding takes a long time, so putting that feature in will probably take a while. So I just take all the damage off Donphan, and I'm going to KO his Purloin next turn with 180 damage heavy slam. Now at this point the game is basically over, in case he draws some miracle card that I don't think, that I'm unaware of that he has, because I'm fully set up. My vileplume is locking his trainers, my reuniclus is moving his damage. I have Blissey Prime to heal my vileplume when it gets too high on damage, and Donphan is fully set up and doing crazy damage. Donphan's Pokebody is exoskeleton, meaning that any damage done to it is reduced by 20, meaning it can't be KO'd by anything in the game except super effective attacks, which is water against Donphan, and Magnezone Prime with 4 energies, which is a heap, which is like, you only run like 14 in a Magnezone deck, so if you use 4 on a Donphan, that's a lot of energy to get rid of. So the only thing that can carry Donphan from being water, Suicune Legend is one thing, because it is water type. If people are running, say, a Blastoise, that can one-shot it if it's in the main slot, and not much else runs. Water's not a very popular. Oh, Kyurem. Kyurem is one of the big banes to Donphan decks now, because Kyurem is a new card. Ice type, but there is no ice type, so it counts as being water type, and it can one-shot Donphan with an outrage given enough damage counters. So that is basically the only threat. He sends in his Liepard here, or I think I've been calling it Purloin when it's actually a Liepard. My bad. But yeah, he sends that in. It's not evolved. It can't really do anything to me. The only really way he can get out of this is if he has something to status me, because status is kind of the bane of this deck, because you can't run full heals because of trainer lock and all that kind of stuff. So I did pause it there, and I unpaused it because he took forever to make this move, and I didn't want to talk over it forever. And what he did is he switched my active Donphan with my benched Vileplume, which is it's a good stalling tactic, but I play a copycat here, and because he had so many cards in his hand, I get to draw 7, and fortunately the last card I draw is a double colorless, meaning I can withdraw my Vileplume, go back into Donphan, and KO this guy. And that basically definitely gives me the game, because if he'd kept my Vileplume, if I hadn't got a double colorless, he could have got a few more turns to stall. He could have evolved that thing, maybe got something else out. I'm not really sure what his deck's running. Scolopede's not a bad Pokemon, and I could have been in trouble. But fortunately I get to do that, and he's only left with 2 very bad basics on the bench. Sigilyph isn't a terrible Pokemon, but Swoobat really is kind of a grasping at straws kind of thing. So I'm just going to KO this next turn. I think he leaves after this. It was a good game from Prodigitalson, I think it is. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to post some more of these and post some Magic, but Magic's not recording too well at the moment, so yeah, I'll be uploading again on my channel. I'm sorry about the big kind of absence, but I didn't have a Pokemon game to kind of upload, and my computer's not really powerful enough to screen capture really good games. I might screen capture some SNES games maybe if I decide to play some. And he just surrenders here. It was a good game. It was a bit one-sided, but just displaying my deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good day. See ya.